Wow. Well, what's up, my know-it-alls? Okay. We're talking about Picard, Season 3, Episode 8, Surrender. This episode, it's it. This is everything I've wanted. Let's start talking about it. Jump right into it, man. So the episode starts with Vadic smoking on the bridge because, you know, that's what you do when you have captured a Federation ship. You take a minute, you go ahead and light a stogie, and you just get there and you're like, oh yeah, not too shabby. I did a good job. No, the truth is, though, she is trying to hold the bridge crew hostage until Jack comes up and she begins to put a time frame of 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, she's going to kill somebody. So meanwhile, Geordi immediately unplugs the data lore golem, if you will, out from the system, trying to make sure that lore can never ever take control again. And the entire time they are rounding up crew all over the ship. And it sounds very much like Vadic's changeling soldiers are essentially killing everybody. So it's kind of harsh. It's rough. It's a rough one. So at least it's by what we're seeing. So then, as you go through this entire scenario, you see that Jack is still seeing things, and now he sees through the eyes of other people and whatnot. And so, sure enough, that's exactly what he's trying to do. And at one point, it's funny. It's interesting. You see him in the eyes of this one crew member, and the guy's like going through, and you see kind of what they're doing. And then the changeling walks around the corner or whatever and shoots the person he's in. And that's when he starts to kind of let them know, hey, listen, I need you guys to know this is going on. And he talks to his parents, talks to Beverly and Picard. As Vadic taunts the crew, she summons Jack to the bridge. It's rough. And that's where she sets up the whole 10-minute thing. So then we cut to Deanna and Riker, and you get to find out a little bit more about what happened. Apparently, after their son died, he was kind of drowning in his despair, and Deanna used her Betazoid abilities to try to start numbing that pain. Once he noticed and realized that he was becoming a shell of himself, he got upset and offended. I see where he's coming from. And he says this was the last point of connection to his son. And so it's rough, man. It's rough. And one, because, you know, she was trying to help, but it just wasn't quite working right. Anyway, suffice it to say, it's an interesting approach to why because a lot of people will be like, well, why'd they break up? Or why they didn't break up? First off, they parted company for a bit so he could kind of reassess and get his head right. And sure enough, they end up finding out they both hated living where they lived. And that they were living there because they thought the other person wanted them to live there or whatever else. Anyway. Yeah, it's great. It's a good coming back together, and I'm down. So then we go to it's funny. Deanna says that apparently the changelings came to her in the form of Will Riker, and she's like, yeah, it was. She's like, how convincing were they? And she's like, good in bed, bad with pizza, and you're just like, really? It's you guys. Anyway, on the bridge, Seven and Shaw have a quick heart-to-heart, and Shaw basically is like, you should have blown the turbo lift. And she's like, I would make the same decision again. And he's like, you are a Starfleet officer. And he's kind of letting her know, you know, you have to make tough calls. And not all of them you're going to like. And he says Commander Hansen, and she corrects him. She's like, my name is 7 of 9. Get over it. Like, figure it out. And I kind of feel like that was a good moment, both for her and him, to be honest. But yeah, man, I think our love affair of Shaw is still intact. And so then you have Jack, who tells Picard and his mother about his ability. Finally, he lets him know, listen, I can see through people's eyes. He basically goes into Lieutenant Mura, who's the ops guy with the ops Bajoran. Thank you. And so they try to input this master code. It's the code that they use to lock out. And of course, Picard's would be superior to everyone else's. And so literally dude's sitting there and he's just kind of unconsciously doing this thing with his hands and activating stuff. And that's when Vadic is like, she stops him. She's like, she sees it and catches it. And then she's like, are you in there, Jack? And so what they end up doing is she makes him and the communications officer both kneel. And then what she ends up doing is killing Lieutenant Tavine, which is the science officer, the Vulcan. I was shocked by that. I knew somebody was going to go. I didn't realize how much I liked Tavine. So, yeah. Meanwhile, back with Deanna and Riker, they discuss a little bit more the consequence of losing their someone. The changeling shows up, and Riker's talking trash, and that's when all of a sudden, bam, the weapon that Worf has stabs through this guy. So the implication is that this changeling is humanoid and not a changeling? Again, I don't know what all the rules are when it comes to this particular breed of changeling. I've seen everything from there. So my understanding is they're all changelings on Vadic's ship. I could be wrong. And if you understand differently, comment below. Let me know if I missed that. Anyway, so then finally you have Worf, who rescues them, obviously, and they all hug and whatnot, and Worf's miserable about it. And you get to see that they're in a cloaked shuttle. So apparently they put the cloaking device on the shuttle or something. I don't know. Which answers the question from last week of why they didn't cloak the ship. So hopefully my good buffer timers kind of got that, because I know that was a point of question last week on the show. And as soon as schedules line up again for me, I will absolutely be back on buffer time. So make sure you guys check out that podcast over there on the Best of Trek, Worst of Trek channel, which I'm a huge fan of and love each and every person on that panel. All right, so that's when Beverly and Jean-Luc have a plan, but the plan requires data. And so they send Jack up to distract while they go down, and Geordi has to plug in data and basically say, listen, and Picard's like, we need him because he can do trillions of calculations at a time, faster than anybody else. So the same reason you always need data, he's quick on his feet, you know what I'm saying? And then we get this really interesting, in Data's head, representation of what's happening. It's not bad. I like it. It gave Brent Spiner the ability to play off himself, which is great. And you see Lore is vastly more powerful and begins to consume the data code as soon as they put the partition down. So what does that mean? You see Data start pulling things out of his memories. One of the things is a cool little hologram of Tasha Yar that he used to have in this little polygonal sort of basin thing. And the other one, there's the Sherlock Holmes pipe, some other stuff. And every time Lore takes it and throws it in the air and it becomes a thing. Well, little by little, he's doing more and more and more of that, and eventually gets to Spot. Meanwhile, I'm gonna jump right back to that. Jack shows up on the bridge, tells them to get everybody else in the thing. He says it looks like it's a thermal detonator from Star Wars. It's a little round ball thing with a little light and glows, and he's holding it out like it's a bomb. And he's like, "Worst case, I'm gonna kill myself." And it's you know, he's like, "I figure I'm pretty valuable, but if I kill myself, then your plans are basically for nothing." And Vadic is like, ooh, she's kind of having fun, and she's talking to him about what's going on in his head and stuff. But anyway, so they send everybody else into the conference room. Seven stays behind. And Shaw's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And it was like, yeah. So we cut back to the Data struggle. And Data is slowly being consumed. And everyone looks, and Picard's like, looks like surrender, this and that. And then as soon as the last memory of Data, which is Spot, he hands it to Lore, Data disappears. Or does he? So, I mean, come on, really? So, but yeah, no, it come to find out, essentially Data was like, hey, listen, I gave you all those memories because each and every one of those memories make up who I am, which means it was where Laura's all like red lights and aggressive. Data's like, no, here, you can have my memories because my memory, once I pass them to you, are going to effectively make you me. And that's what happens. They're one. Laura is now gone. Officially, but because he rolled himself into Lore. He didn't try to pull Lore into himself. He allowed Lore to take him into himself. Yeah. Okay. And that was interesting, and I liked it. I was like, okay, I see where they're going. It was a nice little reversal, and you sort of knew he was going to come out. So when he wakes up, sure enough, he's there, and he literally starts talking through the ship, and he's like, oh, this is your positronic security program, and this and that. And then he proceeds, so then real immediately, Jack activates the thing. It's not a bomb, it's a shield. Data blows the emergency evacuation hatch, which is the front view screen, thus sending Vadic out. I believe since we're pretty much toward the end of this, that we have with 2 episodes left. So the penultimate episode's next week. Vadic is now ice chips. And so when Seven opens up the bridge again and allows everyone to come out, she says, Captain Shaw, I give you your ship back. And Shaw's like, you do the honors. And sure enough, she blows up the Shrike. They fire on it. It's pretty great. And then you get a wonderful moment that I feel it's so needed. You get to see everybody around the conference table. And it's that moment we've seen since the original promos. And it's just, it brought a tear to my fan joy heart was melted and made very, very happy that day, and I'm excited. So, all right, guys, well, there you go. Now you know, and if knowing is half the battle, you're halfway to bring a know-it-all yourself. What's the know-it-all index for this episode? I genuinely feel like this episode for me was excellent. It fired on a lot of different thrusters. I'm gonna go 8.5. 8.5. I'm waiting for some exciting. I'm waiting for some blow my socks off things, but this came close, man. Super close, and I loved it. Loved every minute of it. So, all right, yeah, man, comment below. Let me know what you thought. But so what are some other ideas when it comes to the show? For me, I feel like the show and I like where they're going. And I feel like the sooner we get a Star Trek Legacy thing, I would have enjoyed having an announcement yesterday. Yesterday, of course, being First Contact Day. So happy belated First Contact Day. And yeah, man, so I'm very much interested in seeing what comes. I realize more and more this is my era. This is my era of Star Trek. This is the era that I feel the most at home at. I love Discovery. Glad they're in the far future. Looking forward to Starfleet Academy. You know, the show's been mentioned. And ultimately, which I think is going to be great, and it's supposed to be live action. All about it. Of course, looking forward to Strange New Worlds coming in June, and then Lower Decks and all the other shows that are coming back for other seasons and whatnot. But I'm really thrilled to see. I really want to see Star Trek Legacy or something along those lines come out. That's what Terry Matalas has said. If he had his druthers, that's the show he would want to pitch, which is Star Trek Legacy. And you have, and I'm all about it. So yeah, man, let me know what you guys think. Are you enjoying the series? Are you enjoying what they're doing? I know that some people have some issues with some things, but I don't know. I'm enjoying the storytelling. I am. It's got all the moving parts that I need from Star Trek, and hopefully you are too. So look forward to talking to you guys again about it next week. Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all.